Every year, I'm the one who wakes up early to start the cooking. The house is quiet, and there's something comforting about the solitude. That morning, I rolled out of bed at 4:30 a.m., careful not to wake my husband or the kids. The kitchen light flickered to life as I started unpacking ingredients, setting the turkey on the counter to come to room temperature, and preheating the oven. It was peaceful, the kind of quiet where you can hear the hum of the fridge and your own breathing. About half an hour into prepping, I felt it, a faint prickle on the back of my neck. I chalked it up to the early morning grogginess and kept chopping celery for the stuffing. But the feeling didn't go away. If anything, it got stronger. I glanced around the kitchen. Nothing seemed out of place. The windows above the sink were dark, reflecting only the glow of the kitchen light. I told myself it was just my imagination. Still, I could not shake the unease. As I was rinsing the turkey in the sink, I heard a faint creak. It sounded like it came from the living room. I froze, hands dripping, and strained to listen. Nothing. Just the house settling, I told myself, trying to push the creeping anxiety aside. But then there was another noise, a soft scuffling, like something brushing against the hardwood floor. My heart began to race. I reached for the knife I'd been using, gripping it tightly as I stepped into the hallway that led to the living room. The house was dark beyond the kitchen, and the shadows seemed heavier than usual. I flipped the hallway light on and scanned the area. Nothing. No one. Everything was exactly as I'd left it the night before. "Get a grip," I whispered to myself, laughing nervously. I turned back to the kitchen, setting the knife on the counter. I busied myself with the stuffing, trying to shake the sense of unease. But then I noticed something strange. The kitchen window above the sink, which I had cracked open earlier to let in some cool air, was now closed. I was sure I hadn't touched it. A chill ran down my spine. I locked the window, double-checking that it was secure. The uneasy feeling was back, stronger than before. I grabbed my phone and sent a quick text to my husband upstairs. "I think I'm hearing things. Can you come down?" No response. I went back to cooking, trying to convince myself that everything was fine. But as I basted the turkey, I saw movement out of the corner of my eye. Something or someone had just passed by the kitchen doorway. My breath caught in my throat. I spun around, expecting to see my husband or one of the kids, but there was no one there. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. Silence. I grabbed the knife again and slowly walked to the doorway, peeking into the hallway. Empty. The house was still. I was about to go back to the kitchen when I noticed something on the floor. A faint trail of water led from the living room into the hallway and stopped just a few feet from where I stood. My first thought was that it had to be from the kids leaving wet shoes around, but they were asleep and the water hadn't been there earlier. I followed the trail into the living room. The curtains were drawn, but the faint glow of the streetlight outside cast long shadows across the furniture. Everything looked normal, except for the patio door. It was unlocked. My stomach dropped. I was certain I had locked it before going to bed. I locked it again, pulling the curtains tighter. As I turned back toward the kitchen, I caught a faint smell in the air, something earthy, like damp leaves and wet wood. It didn't belong in my house. I hurried back to the kitchen, locking every window as I went. I didn't feel safe anymore. Grabbing my phone, I called my husband. It rang and rang before going to voicemail. I was about to head upstairs to wake him when I heard it, a faint tap, tap, tap against the kitchen window. My blood ran cold. Slowly, I turned toward the sound. At first, I didn't see anything. The window above the sink was dark, reflecting the light from the kitchen. But then, as my eyes adjusted, I saw it. A face, pale, with hollow eyes that seemed to stare straight through me. It was there for only a second before it disappeared into the darkness. I screamed, dropping the knife as I stumbled backward. My phone slipped from my hand, clattering to the floor. I scrambled to pick it up, fumbling to call 911. My fingers were shaking so badly I could barely dial. I didn't move from the kitchen, clutching the phone like a lifeline as I listened for any sound of movement. The minutes felt like hours. When the police finally arrived, I ran to the front door to let them in. 2 officers searched the house and the yard while another stayed with me, asking questions. They didn't find anyone. No footprints, no signs of forced entry, nothing. The trail of water had dried up by then, and the officers suggested it might have been a leak or a spill I hadn't noticed before. As for the face in the window, they said it could have been a shadow or my imagination playing tricks on me in the dim light. But I know what I saw. For the rest of the day, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Even with the house full of family and friends, I kept glancing over my shoulder, expecting to see that face again. That night, as I lay in bed, I replayed the morning over and over in my mind, trying to make sense of it. The police had brushed it off, but I couldn't daunt. Someone had been in my house. Someone had been watching me. To this day, I'm hyper aware of every sound, every shadow. I triple check every lock before going to bed. Thanksgiving will never feel the same again. And every now and then when I'm alone in the early morning hours, I swear I can feel eyes on me.